Greetings, River Lady here, and I'm still dealing with the COVID-19 quarantine. So I am still under house arrest because of my hip, but it is getting better. Can't get out and do a lot of raking or digging or kneeling, but I can do some light pruning, and this is the perfect time of year. Right now it's, what is this, the end of March. The days are all blending together. Perfect time of year to prune your Panicle Hydrangeas. So let's get going. These are the hydrangeas with those stunning conical shaped flower heads. You know them as Limelight or Pinky Winky or Quickfire, and mine, which is Firelight. There's loads more Panicle Hydrangeas. They bloom on new wood, and you can give them an aggressive pruning in the spring. There are two ways that you can go about pruning them. One is to cut them down to about a half or a third, go in there and lop off all the branches, or you could do a more precise pruning method, which is what I'm going to do today. I did not prune this plant last spring, and I paid for it with wimpy stems that flopped over from the weight of the flower head. So this time I'm going to get in there and do it correctly. As I mentioned, Panicle Hydrangeas grow on new wood. Growing on new wood versus old wood can be confusing, but it really is not that difficult to understand. If a plant blooms on the wood that's existing, so if this plant bloomed on this wood, if a bud was coming off of this wood, for example, if this was a flower bud right there, we would say that this blooms on old wood. But Panicle Hydrangeas bloom on new wood. And these little nodes that you see are not flower buds, but they are actually branch nodes. And they are going to produce a new branch that will then produce the flowers. So we're going to have branches coming out of these nodes, and what we want to do is we want to trim back this plant to the really good thick nodes, because those are the nodes that are going to give us sturdy branches, and then we'll get flowers on those new branches. So I want to snip off some of these old branches, and what I want to do is I want to trace the branches to a really good thick node. For example, let's look at this branch right here. I'm going to take this guy off. I have a good node right there. You can see that sticking out. And as with all pruning, you want to make sure that you're cutting at a 45-degree angle and that your pruning tools are sharp. And that's all there is to it. So now I'm going to encourage this plant to produce new stems from right here, new branches, stems, whatever you want to call them, and then those will produce the flowers. Those stems, those branches will produce the flowers. Let me show you a few more branch nodes that I'm talking about. You can see right here how well developed these nodes are. I want to take this stem down to right above these nodes with a 45-degree angle. The rule of thumb is the more well-developed the branch nodes, the thicker the branch is going to be, and the less it's going to flop. Let me show you another one. I have nodes all along this branch, but this is a nice thicker branch down here, and I like the way this is developed right here, so I'm going to cut to right there. The other thing we want to do is get rid of any thin or wimpy stems. So I'm going to come in here. For example, I have a wimpy one right there. We don't want any of those because we want to encourage the plant to send energy to the good branches. Okay, here's another thin one here. So I'm just going to take him right off. I can also take off any broken branches. I'm going to look at the sky, see if I can see any swellings. I have one it's hard to see, but I have one right there. But I don't want to go down that far. I have one, I am. There's really not much I can do with him. Now I could have done this in the winter time. I could have taken off all these blossoms and pruned this plant back in the winter, but I like leaving the blossoms on. They add interest to the winter landscape, and the birds love them during the winter. It gives them places to peck. This time of year they get insects from them, so I like keeping them. All right, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to prune this baby, looking for those swollen branch nodes. And I will be right back and show you what my plant looks like when I'm done. And that's all there is to it. I have trimmed up my Panicle Hydrangea. I'm exhausted. My hip is killing me. I've taken off all the thin little spindly branches. You can see my carnage all scattered around. I'll get back to it. I'm going to go in and sit for a moment. All right, so if you are quarantined because of the COVID-19 virus, or if you're just itching to get out there and do some pruning, if you feel like doing some raking, I could use some help. Anyway, if you want to do some pruning, get out there and prune your Panicle Hydrangeas and have some fun. Don't worry about hurting them. They're very forgiving, and they'll reward you with blossoms in July and August. So I will check back with this plant in a couple of weeks when the ground is a little warmer and I feed it. And then I'll check back with it again in July and August to show you it blooming. That's it for River Lady. I hope you stay safe, wash your hands, and happy gardening. Bye.